Now I'll just close my output window. We'll fix that up real quick. Now we're going to be adding a lot more to our knowledge of actual scripting and syntax in the program as we go along, but I want to also take a look at some of the other areas of the ActionScript window to see what kind of help those are going to give us. In fact, let me get my Swift file out of the way. Let me just close that window up, and let's take a little bit of a look at the left-hand side of our ActionScript panel over here. Now the bottom part of this panel we can deal with right off the bat. This part will show me every place in the program that I currently have ActionScript located. Now, as I said before, we've only got it on the Actions layer in Frame 1, so that's pretty much all that shows up. This panel can be a help if you start spreading your ActionScript throughout the whole program. We'll be looking at additional ways to manage where your ActionScript is and being able to find elements in the program. But that's pretty much what this panel is going to do for you. In a very small way, the tab at the bottom is also doing the same thing for you. It's reminding you where this script is going. Now, if I just move my ActionScript panel out of the way just a little bit here, just so I can see the rest of the stage, if I click off of that Actions layer, off into some other layer, like for instance, on one of these objects that I have here located at the top of the screen, you'll notice that the focus of my Action panel moves away from that element. Right up in the timeline here, you can see that I'm now selecting that green square, which is in the stem layer on Frame 1, and that does not have any actions applied to it. So your action window is going to be focused on exactly where you place those elements. Now I can get back to the ActionScript that we wrote by simply selecting the area that we placed it, right on that keyframe in the Actions on Frame 1. You can see that I can do that in the timeline, or if I click away from it again, I can go down to this panel at the bottom, and now you can see that it shows the current selection with a question mark. That's because it can't have any ActionScript attached to it, and I can use this panel to also change my focus back over to Frame 1 and bring the ActionScript panel back up again. Now, as you can see, this can be a little bit tedious as you start working with your files, so let's introduce one other element right next to the tab, and that's the little pin. This is a really useful thing when you start using ActionScript a lot more. By clicking on the pin, it actually places the pin and almost sticks it into that page of code. With a page pinned, you can click around to other elements of the screen, and instead of moving the focus of the ActionScript window from one place to another, it stays where you pinned it. Let me click on one of these keyframes over here, and you'll notice I have the option of adding script to the flower layer on Frame 1 instead of the Actions layer on Frame 1, but the pin has kept the Actions layer on Frame 1 available to me so that I'm not constantly bouncing around from one screen to another. Now that pretty much covers the bottom of the panel. Let's take a look at the top of the Actions panel now. The top of the Actions panel is filled with a whole bunch of icons that look like little books. And that's exactly what they are. These are reference books to the rest of ActionScript. Somewhere in these books you can find virtually everything that ActionScript does. To access anything, all you need to do is click on one of the books. It'll open up, and in some cases it'll show you more books. Now I started off with global functions right here, and opening it up I can see a whole bunch of other topics. Let me take a look in miscellaneous functions, and you'll notice down through in miscellaneous functions we have the trace function. That's the function we used on the first line. Now these can be helpful in a couple of different ways. I can use them to help me out with typing. For instance, if I wanted to add another trace function to my movie right now, I could just go down to my ActionScript. I'll hit enter to add another line to my script, and instead of typing the word trace, I can double click on trace right out of the book panel, and it'll start writing it for me. Now you can see it wrote more of the complete syntax. In order for a trace statement to work, this is a function, so I need the name of the function, and I need an open close parentheses, a semicolon at the end, and I need to type in there a message. Everything we see in these books is going to work the same way, so we can use this as a very quick way to get our typing done. We can also use it to do a little bit of research for us as well. Now when I single click on one of the objects in one of my reference books, I can go either right click, or I can use the icons right in the ActionScript panel, this question mark icon right over here on the side, to open up the help panel. What's good about using this method is it'll take me right to the trace function inside of my help and tell me all about it. Now that becomes really valuable when you start working your way through these books and you realize that there's a lot of information in here. If you simply come upon a function or some kind of an element name that you want to have some more information about, let's say a global function under miscellaneous, like the eval function. I could do the same thing. If I move my help window out of the way here just a little bit, go over to my help icon, you can see that it'll tell me all about the eval function. Now this is going to be one of your primary references for new ActionScript. In the lessons on these discs, we're going to be covering a lot of new ActionScript and a lot of things out of these books. but we're going to leave a lot left uncovered for you to discover for yourself. And this is going to be one of the primary ways that you're going to want to fish through the program, take a look at something that interests you, and find out more information about it.